farmers rather than at the National Cereals and Produce Board of DEPO. I assured him that I will work with the governor of Embu and with all governors to actualize his proposal for him and for other farmers who believe the same. But it was Mr. Samuel Chacha of Kuria who graphically painted the picture of transformation the fertilizer subsidy has done in his farm. With a phrase that struck my mind, he simply told me, Mr. President, shamba yangu ina meta. Further, we have made adequate arrangements, including investment in necessary infrastructure to facilitate post-harvest management and to prevent post-harvest losses. 17 certified warehouses jointly managed by the National Cereals and Produce Board and the private sector owners with a combined capacity of 365 metric tons or 4,090,000 kilogram bags have been prepared in the maize growing areas. The National Cereals and Produce Board shall provide a subsidy maize drying service to farmers at a fixed cost, as was announced by the Minister, of Kenya shillings 70 per bag, which is a significant improvement from the previous rate of Kenya shillings 350 per bag. Yesterday again, the first consignment of the 100 mobile dryers this House facilitated my administration to buy for use by our farmers. I announced to you yesterday the first consignment of the dryers docked in the country. Additionally, we are enhancing dairy productivity for better farmer returns. The government, working with milk processors, and I had a long conversation with them in Nakuru. We are mapping the country to ensure coolers are supplied where they are needed. Soon, farmers will be paid based on milk quality, boosting incomes, and they can also enjoy global market access. Our reforms in the coffee sector are bearing fruit, with our farmers set to earn 4 times advance pay for their crop from a low of 20 to now Kenya shillings 80, following the allocation of Kenya shillings 4 billion from the Coffee Cherry Fund that was ably facilitated by this House. Coffee reforms regulations will give farmers the necessary representation and weight at the National Coffee Auction. It is my intention to make sure that the auction operates with farmers at the center of it. These measures are expected to aid ongoing efforts, including expanding production to new counties and double coffee output in the next 4 years. The government of Kenya is currently restructuring public sugar mills, expediting the leasing of 5 companies for rehabilitation and expansion to boost industry competitiveness before the Commercial Sugar Safeguards expire. The objective includes creating a competitive sector, raising farmer incomes, and enhancing productivity. This House agreed with my cabinet that we waive Kenya shillings 117 billion non-performing debt for government-owned sugar factories, for which I am grateful to this House. This House also approved 1.7 billion shillings that will go into paying farmer arrears and other complications that arose out of the challenges our sugar sector was facing. I want to promise this House that in the next couple of weeks, we shall be dispersing that money so that farmers in the sugar growing area can go home for Christmas with their money. As earlier indicated, our public borrowing had long crowded out the productive sector from the financial markets, raising the cost of credit and slowing down trade and commerce. As I told Kenyans on my first day in office, times were difficult and many people are struggling and necessary and effective sustainable solutions were urgently needed. We must admit, honorable members, that as a country, we had been living large and way beyond our means. The time has come, therefore, to retire the false comforts and illusionary benefits of wasteful expenditure and counterproductive subsidies on consumption, by which we dug ourselves deeper into the hole of avoidable debt. The new direction may not be easy, but it is ethical, responsible, prudent, and most importantly, necessary. We've had to take hard decisions and make painful choices because we owe it to the people of Kenya to do the right thing and to confront facts as they are without flinching or equivocating. We have worked hard at home and abroad to mobilize a broad coalition of bilateral development partners. Many of them, I see them in this house, multilateral development banks and other agencies, which have rallied to pull our country back from the brink of debt distress and set us today firmly on the path towards sustainable economic growth. Our efforts to stabilize the situation have yielded such progress that next month, in December, we will be able to settle the first Kenya shillings $300 million or 500 billion Kenya shillings installment of the US dollars 2 billion Eurobond debt that falls due next year. I can now confirm with confidence that we will and we shall pay the debt that has become a source of much concern to citizens, markets, and our partners. Having said this, I further announce to the nation that our intention, consistent with sustained effort here and abroad, have enabled us to normalize our relations with the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Africa Development Bank, and various development partners to such an extent that they are now working with us to implement the bottom-up economic transformation plan. As I earlier indicated, our public borrowing had long crowded our productive sector from the financial markets, raising the cost of credit and slowing down trade and commerce, especially the micro, small, and medium enterprises, including Mama Mboga. Consequently, many enterprises and entrepreneurs were referred for blacklisting by the credit reference bureaus, where 7 million borrowers were listed by last year. We committed to provide affordable and accessible credit and restore small business owners to good standing with credit rating agencies. A deliberate, targeted strategic financial inclusion fund, the Hustler Fund, providing affordable credit and mobilizing savings for individuals and small businesses, was launched on the 30th of November 2022. The public response to the Hustler Fund has exceeded most initial projections and surprised even the most hardened skeptics. By the end of last month, the fund had disbursed Kenya shillings 36.6 billion and in savings 2.3 billion, and with 7.5 million repeat borrowers, whose overall repayment rate is at 73%. The top borrower of the fund has so far accessed Kenya shillings 4.5 million in 816 transactions, while the top voluntary saver is at 631,491. In the intervening period, the Hustler Fund has also launched a group product which has attracted 50,000 active groups to the platform, and of which 20,000 have received 151 million Kenyan shillings. The Hustler Fund has provided us not only the huge pent-up demand for affordable credit, but also the readiness of Kenyans to express or to embrace credit and savings and to pay their loans on time with minimum prompting. The notion that Kenyans are not creditworthy or are high-risk borrowers is nothing more than an unjust financial profiling, which has, in many instances, become a needless, self-fulfilling prophecy. Yesterday, when I called Harrison Karisa Kenga, a tuk-tuk operator in Mombasa, who has accessed 714,000 from the Hustler Fund, he suggested to me to find a way to have the fund provide asset financing so that he can buy for himself a tuk-tuk because the one he had was not his. I assured him that during my address today, I would ask the ministry responsible to respond to him. Consequently, I hereby direct the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs to expeditiously engage Mr. Kenga. I will give you his telephone number. The impact of the Hustler Fund is summarized by a story of a Mr. Sospita Ondiek from Kisii. I suggest that the Kenyan film industry should look for him so that he can tell you his full story. Mr. Ondiek has a plumbing and tiling business in Kisii. And through the Hustler Fund, he has accessed 1.7 million in the many transactions he has undertaken to enhance our savings that have consistently been among the lowest globally, and to correct the delayed transformation of our social security architecture. Fundamental reforms are underway in our savings and social security space. As promised, we committed to take deliberate measures to foster a strong culture of savings amongst Kenyans and enable them mobilize resources for investment and development of intergenerational capital to eliminate old age poverty and to ensure comfort in retirement. Until recently, the rate of Kenya's public pension saving stood at 1.4 billion shillings a month, which is the lowest in our region at only 12.5% of our GDP. As a result of our initial interventions, the savings situation in Kenya is changing for the better. Contributions, honorable members, to the National Security Fund have grown from 1.4 billion shillings in January to 6.5 billion shillings every month, this month. The implication of this growth in our national savings is that it will significantly consolidate our nation's ability to invest in development using domestic resources as opposed to us going to borrow other people's money when they save. Honorable members, majority of Kenyans live in their own rural homes, even though many experience land and settlement challenges, including landlessness, insecure land tenure, and perennial squatter problems. Acute housing challenges are principally an urban phenomenon, and they present a serious threat to health and safety as well as dignity of people, particularly low-income earners. The proliferation of slums in our urban areas indicate the extent of this serious problem and the urgency with which it must be addressed to enable Kenyans have greater choice in leading dignified, safe and healthy lives affordably. Low supply of affordable housing units in Kenya is acute, making rent a huge component of the cost of living for many households. The increase in affordable housing units is a strategic intervention to not only supply affordable dwellings for Kenyans, but also as a means to reduce the cost of living. 3 categories of houses will be supplied by this program: social housing, affordable housing, and for the rest, market rate housing. Interest on financing is where we intend to make the big difference. Interest at the moment, as all of us know in this house, is at almost 18%. But under this program, all interest should be or will be at single digit. For social housing, the interest will be at 3%. You know, honorable members, that we all get 3%. So even the people in the social space, they also deserve to get 3%. Those in the affordable housing space will get 6% and 9% for the people in the market category. The affordable housing program has received tremendous support from county governments across Kenya. And I want to thank governors, and I know the chair of the Council of Governors is here, through her, all governors who have worked with us to make sure that this program becomes a reality. The construction of 46,792 units in various parts of Kenya is already underway, while another 40,000 are ready to commence in a couple of weeks. 50,000 Kenyans are working. People who are previously unemployed, they are now engaged directly and indirectly in this enterprise. And the numbers will significantly increase as the projects move into the next phase and as we roll out many more units. A total of 746,795 housing units are in the pipeline as I talk to you under various stages of delivery. More jobs are being created with the formalization of the Jua Kali clusters, providing products like doors, hinges, and windows. And this morning, as I visited one of the sites that I went to launch the construction in March, I was amazed that a site that was flat in March today, and I was with the member of parliament for Ruto, today has 11 block units, almost at 60% complete. And I also met the Jua Kali cluster for Ruto, and they have been given a contract of 140 million to be able to supply doors and windows. Architects, engineers, quantity surveyors, masons, electricians, plumbers, transporters,